Almighty God, have mercy on our people. Give us wisdom and power to liberate our nation from oppression, to achieve peace and prosperity that will ensure freedom, justice, and equality. National Salvation Front will struggle to restore unity, dignity, and power to the people of our nation, that preserve diversity and establish a federal democratic South Sudan. We shall honor the blood of our martyrs forevermore. Always NAS, Goa, people, power.
A message of the New Year 2026 by the Chairman and Commander-in-Chief of the National Salvation Front, compatriot General Thomas Cirillo Swaka, read by Ambassador compatriot Faris Matthew. Fellow citizens, members and supporters of the National Salvation Front, friends of the people of South Sudan, as the year 2025 has ended and we welcome the dawn of 2026, I convey my heartfelt greetings to the resilient people of South Sudan, all NAS members and supporters at home and in the diaspora, and to our gallant soldiers who continue to defend the rights, freedom, and dignity of our people. To our NAS members and gallant soldiers, this new year presents not only a moment of reflection, but also an opportunity to renew our commitment to the noble mission of achieving peace, justice, freedom, and dignified life for our people. We thank God for sustaining us over the years of our struggle. We salute our martyrs and honor their sacrifices for our freedom as we march ahead with determination to achieve victory for our people. Let me also speak directly to the men and women of South Sudan People's Defense Forces, SSPDF. Many of you were once motivated by the noble ideals of the liberation. Yet today you find yourself neglected, unpaid, and forgotten by a regime that exploits your service but denies your dignity and that of your families and fellow citizens. We in the National Salvation Front understand your pain. You are not our enemies, but our brothers and sisters of the same suffering nation. The struggle we are waging is for your liberation as much as it's for the liberation of every citizen. I call on you to join us in this second liberation, to free our people from this oppressive system in South Sudan under Salva Kiir regime. The time will come when the uniform that you wear will once again represent honor, patriotism, and service to the people, not a symbol of oppression and terror. Fellow citizens, the situation in our country continues to deteriorate as Salva Kiir and his cohorts continue looting, plundering, and destroying the country. The economy is in free fall and prices of basic commodities have soared beyond the reach of ordinary families. Inflation continues to erode the little that people earn, while corruption consumes the wealth of the nation. The standard of living has declined drastically our people face hunger, disease, insecurity, and despair in a land endowed with immense resources. In addition to all the economic suffering that the regime has inflicted on the people, Salva Kiir and his cohorts have deliberately deepened ethnic divisions, turning our beautiful diversity into a tool of subjugation and control. South Sudan, once envisioned as a nation of unity in diversity, is now being divided by tribalism, sectionalism, and exclusion. This betrayal of the founding ideals of our country must end. We must rescue the country and instill the spirit of nationhood, equality, and mutual respect among all our communities. Fellow citizens, Salva Kiir and his cohorts are once again on their strategy of using deception, intimidation, and bribery to cement their hold on power in South Sudan so that they continue to loot the resources of the country. The regime has now declared it will hold elections in December 2026 without a permanent constitution and census. This is not only a mockery of democracy, but an insult to the people of South Sudan, who continues to suffer due to the same political cartel. The regime does not care about the people of South Sudan, but their permanent hold on power and continued looting of the state resources. NAS rejects the Kiir regime's declaration to conduct elections when there is war in the country and no permanent constitution. We call on the regime to join the people of South Sudan in an inclusive, genuine peace process, to find a durable solution to the conflict in the country. Such a peace process shall include all South Sudanese stakeholders, conducted in a neutral venue and under a neutral mediator. NAS has consistently maintained that the R-ARCSS, which was regarded by others as the only mechanism for transforming South Sudan into a stable and an inclusive state, is fundamentally flawed. From its inception, the agreement failed to address the root causes of the conflict in South Sudan. Rather than focusing on an inclusive and comprehensive peace, the agreement prioritized political power sharing among elites, sidelining the needs and aspirations of ordinary South Sudanese citizens. The proposed amendments to both the R-ARCSS and the Transitional Constitution are nothing more than an attempt to legitimize the illegal regime. NAS strongly rejects this illegal constitutional manipulation that will only serve to strengthen the grip of those in power, perpetuate violence, and undermine any hope for real democratic change. South Sudanese people deserve true democracy and peace. The regime's call for elections at this stage is both premature and irresponsible. NAS warns that holding elections in the current environment of war will undoubtedly lead to increased conflict and violence. NAS further informs its members, supporters, sympathizers, and the entire people of South Sudan that the nation, by the so-called extended presidency, amounts to nothing but a mere political deception to gain legitimacy. NAS calls on the people of South Sudan to reject being part of these sham elections whose outcome is already predetermined. The conditions in South Sudan simply do not permit the conduct of free, fair, and credible elections for a number of reasons. The war is still ongoing in many parts of the country, with violence and instability being widespread. This ongoing conflict has displaced millions of people, and created conditions where safe and credible elections are impossible. Millions of our South Sudanese people are still held up in refugee camps and in the diaspora with no safe and favorable condition for their return to participate in meaningful elections. Without an accurate population census, there can be no reliable voter roll or credible electoral process. The absence of a proper census means that the elections will lack legitimacy. The South Sudanese regime has systemically criminalized political opposition forces, a move that is considered to be illegal. The democratic space is being continually shrunk, and the opposition political figures are either in arbitrary detention under sham trials like Dr. Riek Machar and the SPLM-IO leaders, or intimidated into submission. Currently, the legal system in South Sudan is literally dysfunctional, compromised, and manipulated by the same ruling elites of the SPLM-IG. Any disputes arising from election irregularities would not be fairly resolved. Fellow citizens, the regime of Salva Kiir has abandoned its obligations to defend and maintain the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country. Foreign political and military forces now control and run our domestic affairs. Our independence, won through decades of sacrifice, is being traded for the survival of Salva Kiir and his corrupt elite. We must reclaim our sovereignty and restore the dignity and pride of South Sudan as a truly independent state. Our message to the international community and to those who are taking advantage of the economic situation in South Sudan is that any agreement reached with the Kiir regime that involves funds being borrowed by the regime will not be recognized after the regime is removed from power. The people of South Sudan under a new government will not be expected to repay loans given to sustain the corrupt regime of Salva Kiir. I take this opportunity to reaffirm our commitment for cooperation with other genuine forces of change. I particularly appreciate our compatriots in the South Sudan Opposition Movement Alliance, SOMA, and other like-minded opposition groups and civil society organizations. Together, we continue to build bridges of understanding and cooperation, guided by the conviction that only through working together can we deliver our people from oppression. To our friends and partners in the international community, we extend our sincere gratitude for your continued engagement in support of peace, justice, and humanitarian relief. Your solidarity with the people of South Sudan remains critical. We urge you to stand with the suffering and oppressed people of South Sudan and to support efforts towards genuine resolution of the conflict in South Sudan. Fellow citizens, NAS remains committed to the struggle for peace, justice, and democracy in South Sudan. We will continue to fight for an inclusive peace process that respects the rights of all South Sudanese citizens and creates the conditions for genuine political change. We call on the people of South Sudan, the opposition groups, the international community to join us in rejecting the proposed amendments and standing firm against the government's attempts to deceive the people of South Sudan with a false electoral process. The horizon of victory is visible. The regime that has brought our nation to ruin is weaker, more divided, and more isolated than ever before. Its days are numbered. The spirit of change is alive in all our villages, refugees, and displaced camps, and all over the country where South Sudanese yearn for freedom and dignity. Let us remain united in purpose, unwavering in our determination, and steadfast in our belief that a South Sudan that is free, just, and prosperous is not only possible, but imminent. I call on all South Sudanese, wherever you are, to renew your commitment for peace, justice, and national transformation. Together, let us work for a new dispensation where power belongs to the people, where justice prevails, and where every citizen can live in peace and dignity. May God bless you and bless South Sudan. Chairman and Commander-in-Chief of the National Salvation Front, Compatriot General Thomas Cirillo Swaka.